trees and just thriving today.
Oh, I know. It's so nice.
And it's what time is it right now? It's
like
12.
noon.
Yeah, 12:43.
Yeah.
And it was like 12 rolling in.
It's so nice.
Mm.
I've been driving with like my sunroof open.
Look at you,
And
little summer girly.
We spring forward this weekend.
We do on Sunday.
Something, one of the days. I don't know.
Either Saturday night or Sunday morning or Sunday night.
Daylight savings is...
It's a wild
it's like
journey.
It's another witchcraft thing for me.
It's another woo-woo moment.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That and the Farmer's Almanac.
Okay, this is like me putting myself on blast, but I think you would really appreciate it, actually. So when we got married, I got married in October, and that's just like obviously it's a very transitional month.
Right. And you never know in Georgia.
And in Georgia, you don't know. So I went on the Farmer's Almanac and looked up the average weather forecast and precipitation for the venue zip code for the last 20 years to decide.
The last 20 years?
Yeah, to decide if cocktail hour would be outside. And you know what? It worked.
You know, the reason I'm chuckling
it was a great resource, though.
Your girl has done, I haven't gone 20 years, though, but I did check when we were looking for dates. And then I've been checking, like, periodically, and apparently it is supposed to rain on our day. So I'm hoping.
This time.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe there's, like, a little baby drizzle in the morning so you get the good luck rain.
And you like humidity.
Yes, I do like humidity. It makes my hair poof, which we like that.
So I feel like at the time you would have been like, girl, what? But now it's like, yeah.
It's like, no, I get that.
So where do you find 20 years back?
Right, right. How do you go into the archives of the Farmer's Almanac?
Listen, we're fact finders.
But it's wild. That freaks me out. That freaks me out. But
the Farmer's Almanac?
Yeah.
Always trust a farmer. I really didn't realize that until I married into an agricultural family. They're built different.
Always trust a farmer.
But never about the health
Speaking
stuff.
of, shout out to Mariah on this one. Have you watched Farmer Wants a Wife?
I have, actually. I love it.
Great show. For anyone listening who's just like craving a nice like reality TV show that's very wholesome. Farmer Wants a Wife. Absolutely. I would say it's wholesome. I mean, the farmers are like, I don't want to kiss on camera. And they get their little cowboy hats on. And adorable.
I love it. It's a very big shift from our realities, at least.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Couch Combos. We are clearly off duty. So just a reminder, this is not a substitute for therapy because no. Even though I would recommend like the Farmer's Almanac and Farmer Wants a Wife to clients.
In therapy, I would do this.
But anywho, we wanted to kind of spotlight today a pretty common phrase that I feel like it's used clinically for sure, but I feel like it's just casually everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that even mean?
Right. Well, and because it's used everywhere, then of course, like people start kind of making assumptions of what it is. And then we start bringing it into different spaces, and then spaces use it differently.
And then capitalism comes in and it's like, here's a product for this to happen.
Capitalism. So yeah, I think today we're going to debunk and define and address and analyze. Presence over performance.
And this idea of like just showing up, or like show up for yourself, show up for other people. It's like, what the heck does that even mean? It's like when we say it all the time. It's like when therapists say like, check in with your body.
Or sit with that feeling.
Or feel your feelings. It's like, what does that even mean?
It's like, sounds great.
Yeah.
How do I do it?
It sounds great. It would make a great like pillow if you wanted to embroider cross stitch it. But I do feel like, again, the wellness field, man, we have some work to do with like, what are you even talking about?
Right.
This sounds like ChatGPT nonsense.
Yeah. And then, I honestly, the first spaces I started hearing this of like, just show up. You're just showing up in the space, just show up, that kind of thing, is athletics.
That's what I was thinking too, actually.
Yeah. Of like, hey, you're going to show up and you're going to give the best for that day.
Yeah.
However, with that, and I know in running it's probably the same thing as tennis. I would say most things, maybe not golf.
Yeah.
I feel like golf, it's very different. But it means you're going to push until you can't push anymore.
Because that's what feels like off or like very dissonant is like when like even like for your nervous system to hear show up.
Yep.
I feel like nowadays it means like meet yourself where you're at and like be realistic and reasonable about expectations. But growing up with athletics, show up means it doesn't matter how you feel. Like you need to get it done and like push.
Put it all out there on the line.
I wonder when that changed. Or it still
the
exists.
Same. Yeah. Well, especially because we think of like we were doing athletics when we were children. Yeah. And the generation of our parents of the just show up for yourself was not a thing that they knew. Whereas that's kind of like a us millennial thing where we're like, how do we perform while also showing up for ourselves and just being present? We're like the middle section. Yes. So shout out to us millennials bridging the gap.
I was just talking to
and trying to keep our eyes open while we do it.
So then, okay. So growing up outside of athletics, what did showing up look like in your family? Or did it kind of line up with athletics well?
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially that of like, okay, you're going to give everything that you've got no matter what, like push through, focus on it, rub some dirt in it, and not in like a way of you can't have feelings with my family, but in a way of like push till you ain't got no more.
Yeah. Which
then made me kind of put down my feelings so I could do that perfectly because I'm me.
Yes.
But what about you?
I think it's similar.
Yeah.
I did hear phrases like fake it till you make it, or if it was that bad, you'd be dead by now. Oh, yeah. I did hear that quite a bit growing up. But again, like feelings were still like decently welcomed in my household. But they weren't seen with the same, I don't want to say value, but like weight.
Right.
And proportionality is seen today. Again, like I'm very lucky, like my family of origin like has shifted how they view these things over time, so it has evolved significantly. But I feel like growing up meant like another phrase I got a lot as a kid was do things because you want to, not because you have to. And so it's a lot of instilling like purpose, autonomy, and very like group teamwork mentality. Yeah. So it worked really well with athletics and just for like our family unit. And like, you know, for me showing up as a kid was sitting at track meets every weekend for 18 years. Because like, even when my brother went to college, like I was still at track meets. And so, I mean, that was all day, every day across the country. So just like different than now.
Yeah. Yeah. It is very much different than now. I think my family has, I mean, they told a couple years ago, I think it would be like 3 years ago now. I was 100%. I'm leaving. I want to go to culinary school. I want to be a baker, own a pastry shop. And my dad's like, okay. Yeah. Like, if that's what you want to do, you got to find love.
I remember that tangent.
Yeah.
That side quest.
It was a side quest.
That's a good one.
But the interesting thing with, like, okay, showing up and pushing through, putting it all out there on the line is the amount of psychological stress that comes with that. Like we've talked about it before of when we continue to push, we're thinking, oh, I'm showing strength. I'm being resilient. Yeah. We're going to put a period on that one and follow it up with, we're also increasing symptoms of anxiety, symptoms of depression, symptoms of dysregulation. And that can impact not only our own nervous system and our own body, but like also our relationships.
Yes. Well, and at the same time, like if we were to really define like showing up for yourself, like, you know, it's rude to think about, but so often it's just over functioning for people. Right. And they're like slapping a holistic label on it. They're like, I'm showing up for myself and others. It's like, no, friend, you've burnt yourself out because you are not saying no, or like you're not setting and enforcing boundaries. You're not actually showing up. You are burning and fizzling to the ground. Yeah. Sorry if that hit deep for anybody listening.
Hits deep for me.
But like,
so I feel it.
But that's hard. And I feel like it's also encouraged. Right. Because it's this idea of like, well, you have to show up for them. It's like, well, actually you have to show up for yourself too. Yeah. So what do you feel like that is not?
So showing up is not pushing through exhaustion. Yeah. Right. It could be like, oh, I'm going to make sure that I have all of my tasks down. I'm going to do this in the most optimal way possible, whether that's while I'm brushing my teeth. I'm going to listen to my morning meditation. It's like, okay, yeah, that's
efficient.
A very efficient, but is it intentional, you know?
Yeah. Even just like the words you used of like pushing and optimizing. I'm like, ooh, these feel very robotic.
And then self-improvement. I feel like social media, we've got this one. Capitalism. Yeah. We haven't gotten to say that one in a hot minute, so we're going to say it in this one. We're going to say it a lot today. Of like, okay, you need this in order to do this and show up for yourself and buy this red lamp for your face, which... No joke, I kind of want one.
There's great research on it, and if you have an HSA or if anyone you know has an HSA, they are eligible.
I did see that you can put it on your HSA card. Okay. Yeah, which is wild that we can put that on an HSA card, but sometimes therapy does not.
And I bought a specific kind of vitamin this week that wasn't covered.
Wild.
Yeah.
We're just on it with insurance today. But anywho.
You always be on it about insurance.
Yeah. Also the invalidating ourselves by being like, I'm fine.
It's fine.
It's okay. It is what it is. I've done worse. We've been through worse.
Yeah. I've been actually using, have you seen the gif of Elmo?
Yeah.
And just in front of the fire saying, I've been using that a lot this week. And that's honestly what I think about when I hear of like over functioning and showing up for yourself.
Yeah. Or that little dog that was sitting in the room that was on fire.
With the coffee.
It's like, it's fine.
Yeah,
Yes,
I love
that one. And then hyper independence.
Yeah.
Of like, I don't need anyone to help.
I'm good.
I got this.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm good. That flows way too quickly off the tongue. But I think like what showing up is a lot of awareness emotionally.
Yeah.
And honestly, just like naming what's real for you, even if it might not be real for somebody else or anything like that. Just naming what's real in your moment. It's a lot of like nervous system awareness and regulation.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of like, you know, spoiler alert, you can't show up for yourself if your nervous system is not regulated.
Right.
And that's so hard because we live in a world that's not kind to our nervous system. So it's hard to do that authentically. I think it also looks like boundary setting and enforcing boundaries. And also, again, like following through on commitments to yourself, even if it's not maybe what somebody else wants.
Yeah. And, you know, listen to our last podcast episode, but these things are hard.
They're so
of like
hard.
Showing up for ourselves is hard in a different way than what the original definition was of like, just keep pushing through. That is also hard, but setting boundaries and being like, no, this is actually better for me. That's hard too, because it's a big change.
Yeah.
And so like, why is this difference important? And we talk about like authenticity, attunement, which in reality is just like self-efficacy. I struggle with that word, efficacy, self-efficacy. It's difficult. But it's essentially being able to believe that you can follow through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's also this idea of like behavioral activation tells us that those valued aligned actions, those are what actually reduce depressive symptoms. It's not quote unquote just action. It's they've got to be values aligned.
Right.
Because if you're just acting and you're throwing things at a wall, you're only going to exhaust yourself. Like if in a small dose, if you're like trialing an error or something, that's different. But if you're just like, I need to show up for everybody and you're just doing all the things all the time, and you're just no, like you can't expect anything for those symptoms. Yeah. Got to be values aligned.
Right. Love some values. So, okay. Where do you often override your own like needs of showing up for yourself?
I have a hard time like physically showing up for myself a lot of the time. I really struggle with like knowing my own physical limits.
Yep.
Like I will overschedule myself if I know physically it's just not going. That's when I really need to work on. Mentally, I'm pretty good about keeping it under control. Physically, though, I really like there's a big disconnect between my mind and body sometimes. Yeah. And I typically override those physical needs pretty easily. What about you?
AKA why we're sick very often.
I know.
Sometimes.
Listen, our last Couch Combos episode of the year this year. Yeah. We're not going to be sick. We've been sick the last two. I'm going to put it out there.
We're going to have full voice
on a recorded device.
Yes.
We're going to have a voice.
Yeah. We're going to feel energized.
Not going to be on steroids or an inhaler.
Or 3 things of caffeine.
That's true.
Yeah.
I know. This is the second half of what I started yesterday.
Look at you.
I know.
I'm so proud of you. Okay, so me.
Yes.
So mine is definitely feelings of like if anyone else is having any other feelings, I'm automatically like, yep, nope, mine don't matter. Let's talk about yours. Let's show up for you. Of like if anyone else is ever struggling, I essentially forget that I have a life. I think
it's an interesting conundrum as a therapist,
isn't it?
Makes you a good therapist.
It does. Makes me a great therapist when I get to, compartmentalize my life. But then, stepping outside the room,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, what is that? And leading into that actually follows quickly, quite nicely with the next question of like, what's the difference between discipline and self-betrayal?
Do you like my little comments?
I do. Oof.
Oof and oof times 2.
Yeah.
Discipline and self-betrayal is really hard.
Yeah.
And I think that it actually goes back to what we talked about in our last episode of like discomfort versus pain.
Mm-hmm.
I think discipline does require and involve a lot of discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
but self-betrayal, it's truly pain. And I
Mhm.
do think that like it's a form of self-harm, honestly.
I was kind of like sitting with this because I was like, you know what? I've actually never thought of this question like ever. Just like personally, even I guess professionally too. But I looked at it as one is for self and the other is fear of self.
Ooh, yeah, that's very true.
Of like, okay, the discipline is more values based, right? Of like, okay, what do I want to do for me?
Yeah.
Whereas self-betrayal is more like, I'm afraid of being this way.
You're compromising.
Yes, so I need to like prove my worth or prove something.
Yeah, it actually reminds me a little bit of, we had an interview with Brittany about OCD, and she talked about when she has the obsessions and then engages in the compulsions, it makes her feel this like moral split.
Yeah.
And she talked about how a lot of OCD for most folks who are diagnosed, you have this like fracture of sense of self when you're engaging in that compulsion. And that really was what came to mind when you said that, is this idea of like, these are not congruent with your values, and you feel this like fractured sense of self, and you feel like you're truly like stepping out of who you are, who you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. So oof number 2, when have you confused exhaustion for commitment?
All of education, and honestly a lot of like the beginning of my career.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I was at dinner this week with a few other therapists, and we were just like reflecting, like we had all worked at a similar, not similar. We'd all worked at the same location for a while, and we were just kind of like sharing stories from the war, and and we all talked about how like it was normal to do certain things or to be a certain way. And when we all actually stepped away, our clients had known it was a problem before we even left, which is wild, because the ones we have rapport with would look at us and say like, hey, like, can I ask you why you left? And we would let them know, and they would say like, no, like we saw it in you. Or a lot of my longtime clients are like, we watched the color come back to your face. And so I think for that one, I think I confused exhaustion with commitment a lot when there's a power dynamic at play.
Ooh,
so there were things like the institution of a job and like a leadership structure encouraged something. The education system, I mean, grad school, it told you like, you're going to be exhausted. We were pretty overworked most of the time, but like, that's just commitment to the degree and things like that. What do you think?
Oh, I 100% agree with when there's a power figure there of like, I feel, or essentially just a goal of like, anytime there is some form of a goal for me, I am like, okay, I want to get it. And to get it, I have to be like, I have to push through. I have to show up. I have to do all the extra. And so, just being a human.
Well, even if you think about things like planning a wedding, we got married in different years. I cannot imagine what you're under right now. Because even though like it's not a 10-year difference, but it's a few years difference, like I don't know what kind of scrutiny that's under right now. But like I imagine, like I heard the phrase knife before wife recently, of you go under the knife
What?
And you get a lot of work
you
done.
get stuff done?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I heard that and I was like, wow, like, especially right now, like, standards are really icky feeling. And like,
that just made my palms get sweaty.
So again, it's not even just like a power figure, but it's these like societal norms of like, if you're going to be a bride and plan this wedding, you're going to exhaust yourself figuring out if the table 3's napkins look like this, or if they're not perfectly aligned 2 inches apart, like you failed. Or in parenthood, you see it a lot of like, if you aren't a martyr, if you don't lay your life down or like anything like this, like you're a bad parent. So, it just gives me the willies.
Gives me the willies. Brings a physical sensation.
Yes.
So I think that a good skill for us to be able to use, and we talk about this a lot in therapy. I actually created a little worksheet. I think it was actually this week for this, of asking ourselves, okay, what am I feeling? Because feeling is information, right? Not good or bad. Just is. So using that information to determine the need. So like, what need is up under this feeling? And then with that, like, hey, how do I move towards getting that need met? Of like, what action do I need next?
Absolutely. And then if you're feeling extra spicy, ask what your wants are.
Ooh.
Because my goodness, I actually noticed a little bit, my caseload is pretty evenly split, men and women. I notice men have a little bit of an easier time identifying wants, but women have a harder time identifying wants sometimes.
Interesting.
At least with the folks that I serve. I'd be interested to see like a larger population, what they would say. But it's this idea of like, what are my wants even? Most people are like, well, I just want a day off. I'm like, I don't know if that's a want, friend.
Right.
I think that's like beginning stages of burnout.
Need,
And it's usually like, I just want a day off. I want a vacation. I want more money. And it's like, these are all rooted in needs.
Like, and recognizing that social context and like the environment that we're currently living in can make some things that maybe even before were a want are now a need.
And it's just these little things of like taking that second to really check in, like you said, of like, where am I? What am I even feeling physically, mentally, emotionally? Like, are there wants? Are there needs? And like, how would I bridge that gap with an action and things like that?
Right. So moving into showing up for others.
Yes.
Yeah. And my therapist out there, you guys,
we need to work on this.
Yes. Of like, if it is really hard to come into work, or if you're not a therapist and it's really hard to go to that hangout or to have that conversation, we got to look inward of like, okay, where am I at? What is that looking like for me? Because maybe I am burnt out and I'm hitting that point where like, no, this is not life-giving. Instead, this feels draining.
Yeah. I will say, like, I have run an experiment on myself recently for this exact concern. And I've loved it. So for me, like, I don't typically like to plan things during the work week, just because like we work late, I live a little bit further, like I'm far away from most of the people that I like to spend time with. But I've started planning things after work. And I've noticed times where it's like, I don't want to show up. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Or I do. And that's honestly been a great like indicator for me of professional burnout and professional limits that I need to put. Because I'm like, I realized the other day, I was like, if I'm not able to go to this thing where I know I'm not mentally taxed that much, or like it's a positive thing. If I know I'm just like not there, like something needs to change during the day. So if anyone is feeling the same way, like try it out, like plan a few things on your work days or like after work or things like that, and see where you're at, because you're probably over functioning and you don't realize it.
Yeah. I struggle with work week things. It's a school night.
It is a school night.
I feel like my brain is so much like
I go to bed
zeroed
early.
in on like, but I have school tomorrow. I can't do anything because that was what it was for so long. That would be an interesting thing to analyze, is what the impact of going from like young school age to now, and if it still transfers over.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that like showing up for others looks like fixing the situation, always being available, never
being
saying
a quick
no.
texter.
Yes, of like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours. I hope they don't think that I'm upset. I gotta answer right away. Or, oh, they saw that I read it. I have to now answer because I said that I read it. Or consistently agreeing, of like always being like, yeah, no, totally, 100%.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And then if you don't feel that way of being like, oh, am I a bad friend?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something wrong with this friendship?
Yep.
Absorbing their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not like a, hey, I'm here with you, but instead like, I feel this for you, with you, and all the things. And self-sacrificing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. So I think like we really, when we think about showing up for others, like again, like let's look at research and what that tells us. But it's saying like, obviously like unequal emotional labor in relationships is associated with things like burnout and just decreased relationship satisfaction.
Yeah.
Duh.
Right.
Like, yeah, no. Meh.
Mm.
But I think like, again, we also have to realize that like those uneven relationships are very real. A lot of the times like people associate that with gender and they normalize it with gender of like, oh, like you just have higher mental load because you work in healthcare or you're a woman or you're the nurturing one or things like that. I do feel like people just kind of normalize if things aren't equal. Yeah, and it's kind of wild. Like my folks who work in like helping professions, usually our like post work conversations are like the least feelingsy ever.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
I feel myself
but
saying
it's
that.
So balanced.
Yeah,
it's so refreshing.
Yeah,
because then like I'm with people who aren't in helping professions, and like it's funny. I walk away and I'm like, that's a lot of feelings. You should talk to somebody about that. Like,
yeah, no, I agree. Of like when I leave this space, I want to go home, stare at a wall, and then maybe watch something that's toxic.
Yeah.
Or read something that's toxic.
Like Farmer Once White.
Like Farmer Once White, which I would argue
it's not toxic.
that they're not toxic, but maybe like Love Is Blind.
Ooh, I just watched the last episode yesterday.
Oh, I got to start the last season. It's on there, but I said, "Hey Kyle, can we watch it?" He's like, "I don't think so."
I actually almost sent you a recording of because there was a weddings episode yesterday.
Yeah,
there is one of the contestants. As a former Division I athlete who was trying to turn pro, had a bunch of ailments, surgeries.
Right. Wonder what that's like.
Oh, I could have sworn he wanted to be in a soccer uniform the entire Let me know when you see it.
Okay, I definitely will.
So, okay. Showing up for others in a healthy way.
Right.
So instead of this like idealized, always be available version, what could this look like? It could look like things like being regulated. Because I think we all have that friend, or we all have been that friend where we walk away from something and we're like, ooh, I was absolutely not in my right mind. I was anxious. I was on one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Being a healthy, regulated presence is truly showing up for other people.
Okay, yeah. And then listening without rescuing, right? Of like, hey, that sounds really hard.
Yeah.
Of like, man, that sounds tough.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Or like, sorry.
For me, that sucks.
Yeah.
I end up saying that. I'm like, oh, God, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I say that a lot outside of session, of course.
Yes.
This is personally.
Yeah.
But not feeling like you have to fix, not feeling like you have to agree.
Well, and then also like boundaries without punishment. Right. And again, like thinking about it, when I think people really feel like boundaries have to feel very formal, it doesn't have to do that. I think actually a boundary I set recently with a friend was, I was like, you didn't ask me to give you this feedback, but I would love to tell you that you're judging the heck out of yourself right now. Oop. And I love you to death, but like my friend, why are you being mean? Yeah. And I trust you're being mean to my friend. Again, that's setting a boundary. Yeah. Or it's things like, man, I don't have it in me to get back to you on this one. Right. Or it's like, hey, I don't really want to talk about that right now. Or like, thanks for checking in. I don't want to go there. Yeah. It doesn't have to be this like beautiful, eloquent. No, it can be like, nah.
Not today.
Sorry.
Not today. And then consistency over intensity and repair after rupture. Yeah. So like these two going together and what that looks like in relationships with others, of this idea of, oh, we have to always be agreeing and we should never fight. Conflict's a bad thing. And we've talked about this in another episode, I believe. Yep. I think it was it with parenting? What was that episode? Attachment. I think it was attachment. But the secure attachment is not based in, oh, we never have conflict, everything is perfect. Right. Instead, it's, hey, we show up.
There actually is conflict.
Yes, we're there. Yeah. We circle back around, and in that conflict, we have that repair. Yes. I've talked about this so many times of like, conflict does not mean that it's bad.
Yeah,
Conflict can
no.
actually be an extremely positive thing for a relationship because it gets you guys on the same page.
Yes. Well, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm working with folks in therapy and they talk about relationships and they say we never fight, I'm always like, oh, like, what does that mean? Like, are you two just wildly compatible and similar? Or do we just not communicate with each other?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, because it's like you can still have conflict and not fight.
Right.
And
conflict does not mean yelling.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It can be like, we just don't agree.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And we talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. And also thinking about this idea of like secure attachment is honestly built through the repair after rupture.
Right.
And it's about consistent responsiveness, not perfection. It's not like a secure attachment isn't the person that you're going to text 5 times a day every day because you're anxious. Like it's about, you can go months without speaking and you know nothing's wrong.
Right.
Or you could and it's okay.
Yeah.
Or if like things happen, like you can repair it and not have to worry.
Yeah. So Kyle and I are currently in marriage counseling.
I love it.
Highly condone it. It's kind of fun actually being a therapist in it, and you're like, I know how to do I statement. Though I've turned out, I even told our therapist, I was like, I am the perfect student. I have it printed out, and he's like, okay, gosh. Caroline. And I'm like, hair flip. And then I was like,
I would roll my eyes so bad at that.
He was like, you're too much. And I'm like, yes, I am. But he mentioned with Gottman, the 60 to 70%.
I love Gottman for relationships.
He said 60-70% of conflict is not solvable. And he said, the reason that this is good is because you don't have to always solve it. Instead, you just have to be there, be present with it, and attuned to your partner.
Yes.
And so meaning like understanding what's going on in your partner emotionally. Because let's be real, one of our big things right now is like, I'm a planner, very much to the T. If you guys have been listening, y'all know this.
Are you?
Kyle, not so much. And so those are two very different personality traits. Yeah. We're not changing those. No. And so it came up of like, you don't have to change those. Yeah. That's okay. It's just understanding and working together of what that looks like for you guys. And I know this brings a lot of like comfort, even with working with clients, of like, I don't got to solve anything. Yeah. I just have to be there, be present, and help you navigate.
Yes. And well, and especially like, I actually, when we were like pre-licensed, I remember working with my clinical supervisor, and she was like, because I did group supervision, and she said, you know, at some point you all are going to stop lesson planning for your clients. Yeah. And I know for a lot of us, it was like, what do you mean? We're going to stop session planning or stop doing these things. And I remember my supervisor, who's genuinely one of the most brilliant therapists I've ever seen, like huge role model. I want to be her. In this life and in the next, like just as great of a person as she is a businesswoman. Yeah. I really admire her. But I just remember it was this idea of like, hey, like it's okay to release that. Like you can still show up for others, even if you're not regimented and over structured. Right. But then like, okay, but I'm living that now. Right. And it's great. Yeah. And I'm probably doing better work than before.
Because it's authentic. Yeah. It feels like it's you. Okay. So let's talk over functioning for others. Yeah. Where do you do it?
Something I used to do was I was really available all the time. That was my over functioning, was like being instantly available. I don't do that anymore. I just can't do that anymore. But I was the one that was like, ooh, if you text her, she's going to respond within 5 seconds. Right. Or like if you call, you're going to hear back. I live my life on Do Not Disturb majority of the time. I love it. I wish I could do it more often. Yeah. But I realize it's kind of rude. And like I do have to answer my phone. Right. But again, like I'm still very available, but the people who know me know that like my read receipts are on. And if I've read it but I haven't responded, 95% of the time I forgot or I typed an answer and I didn't hit send. Yeah. It's not personal. I just need someone to like poke me or like I'll circle back to it later.
Facebook poker.
Yeah. Do they still have that?
I don't know. I haven't been on Facebook in
that was like a big flirtation technique in middle school. Was poking people on
someone
Facebook.
On Facebook. So my middle school was MySpace.
How do you overfunction for others? I love a good MySpace.
I know. God, picking that song was phenomenal.
Oh, pressure.
So meeting their needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of like, okay, what do I feel like they need socially, physically, emotionally? I'm going to show up and I'm going to make it happen.
You're like, you want pancakes? I'll bring you pancakes.
I'll bring you pancakes. I don't know how to make, well, thankfully I do know how to make pancakes. But even if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to YouTube
summon it from the ether.
I will Pinterest the poo out of this. So yeah, just honestly, all things. I'm going to be quite frank with that. Yeah. Like, just laying too much into it.
Yeah.
Laying too much into it.
So can you recall like a time where you were basically just like performing stability instead of like not actually being honest?
I do this a lot with family.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. This is like the main group, and also the outside groups of like cousins, aunts, uncles, which we call everyone aunt and uncle. So I don't even know who's who anymore. But anyone outside of my mom, dad, and granny, and even my mom, dad, and granny sometimes of like, hey, especially with family members who are older. And I know like, okay,
you just don't want to get into it.
Yeah. It's like, there's the understanding is just different. We have lived different lives, different experiences. So yeah. Family is typically mine.
Yes, I would agree. I would think it's in those like very long-term relationships. I don't have like preschool friends. Like I have a lot of friends who have like preschool infancy friends. And I've heard them say similar things, but like for me, I would agree it's family. And I found myself just thinking like, this is not a hill I'm willing to die on. Right. But at the end of the day, like it just makes me overfunction. So I feel like folks who are similar to us need to find a good internal boundary system of like, okay, if I am going to perform stability, how do I make sure I don't overfunction in this moment? Right. Or like, where is my limit to this? Because it can be a really slippery slope there. Yeah. But it's understandable because sometimes you just don't see eye to eye.
Yeah. And that just happens. So when showing up is actually self-abandonment.
I would argue showing up is self-abandonment more often than not.
Yeah. So staying in unsafe dynamics, ignoring exhaustion, suppressing anger, performing loyalty, carrying what isn't ours. Let's just go down the list. The list.
But I also think about like when I hear that list, I also think about our training. Yeah. And a lot of it encourages this.
For sure.
Of like, no, you are in a blessed position to carry what's not yours. Right. That's not appropriate. Like we aren't supposed to be carrying our clients after their session. We are walking alongside them. We're not carrying them. And I really do think about, and it makes me wonder if like, I might tap in a healthcare friend and ask them after this. But like if they had similar of like, you are going to ignore when you're exhausted. You're going to carry this. It's not yours. Like you're going to perform loyalty to this field. I'd be really curious to hear their perspectives too.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, it makes sense why burnout and compassion fatigue is something that is felt in the healthcare profession.
Well, and it's again, like if showing up is costing you your nervous system in any way, and you notice, and it's not just like ooh, like I was out with friends all day, I'm tired. That's not costing you your nervous system. It's making you tired. It's a drain, but it's not feeling like a physical, or it's not feeling like a mental or emotional compromise. Right. If showing up is costing you regulation, it's self-abandonment, period.
Yeah. Well, and two, for my introvert girlies, of like, the social, emotional, mental battery is going to feel drained by going out, but it's not in a way that feels like harmful.
Correct.
Of like, I'm losing myself in this. I'm angry, resentful. Instead, it's just, okay, I'm ready to go just read.
Yes. And like sometimes like for us, like you have to show up for others by limiting how often, and it can't be that always available. Yeah. Because again, like you will go into that overfunction and that like nervous system dysregulation maybe a little bit faster than an extrovert would.
Yeah. Right. And so reaching out to my people pleasers out here, consistently showing up when we feel like, okay, this is not energizing in a way that it feels harmful to me, that increases cortisol levels in our body, which then increases symptoms of anxiety, potentially symptoms of depression, the burnout, and then even with like trauma of like moving into, okay, in order to prove that I am a good person, that I am a good human, that this is a good relationship, that I'm in this relationship. I gotta show up all the time.
Yes, and really reminding yourself that like over-functioning and showing up for others in these quote-unquote unhealthy ways is so often a trauma response. And so I hope that people can listen to this and hopefully not put blame on themselves or shame, because sometimes it is associated with trauma of like, I need to perform this loyalty, or I need to show that I'm useful so that people don't mistreat me or misuse me. And so giving yourself that grace, and also just that check-in of like, if I'm finding myself doing this, where is this coming from? Is it coming from me? Is it coming from something that impacted me? Or like, is it other like societal pressure, things like that?
Yeah. So speaking of that, where do you think we learned this? That like love equals endurance?
I think it's really cultural, honestly. I think it's super cultural. I think of, I was actually listening to a podcast the other day about how our generation is no longer ascribing to the you stay together for the kids. Because I feel like older generations of Gen Xers and boomers, they went through you stay together for the kids. Right. But meanwhile, now we have millennials growing up and having families of our own, and they're all saying, I wish my parents had separated or divorced.
Right.
So I see that a lot specifically. Where do you see it?
TV.
Yeah.
Social media.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, like raising, but then hot take, religion of like the way that can be led is very much like, it doesn't matter, you know, like it's a choice. And yes, like love is a choice. It is an act. It's also a feeling. And then sometimes even our choices are not helpful for us. They're not healing for us. And sometimes other people's choices are not helpful and healing for us. And so being able to lean into, okay, that it looks flexible.
Yeah. And like, it's okay to ask questions. You don't have to like blindly go through this or like just submit.
Yeah.
Like you can ask questions too without being labeled in any sort of way other than just asking a question.
Right.
And what actually might feel selfish, but it's really just truly like you're regulated and you're showing up for yourself.
Saying no.
Yeah.
Saying no to plans.
Was that you I told this week? I don't know if it was you, but I literally said no as a sentence.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I know I did. I said that this week.
I love that.
Yeah.
Maybe,
but
I don't know.
Maybe
I think it just applies.
Maybe it's just our world right now. But saying no of like, no, hey, I can't do that at this moment. Like, I just don't have the energy for it. Or like, hey, I can't have this conversation right now.
Yeah.
That's a big one that I really struggle with is like being like, hey, I know you really want to talk about it, but I'm not going to be able to be in my best mind and headspace in order to have this conversation. And it's probably not going to feel healing and fun for either of us. So that would be mine.
I like that.
How about you?
I actually did something this week for the first time in all of my years of life.
What?
I corrected somebody. I had someone say like, oh my gosh, like I bet you're feeling this way. It was incorrect. Straight up incorrect. And then they started going on this tangent, which honestly felt like it was projecting onto me a little bit. Okay. And I didn't feel comfortable saying, hey, you're projecting. But I did say like, hey, I'm not feeling that way at all, actually. I'm feeling this way. And I'm fine. And I'm good. Like, I'm just ready to be done.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, catch me in a few days and I might be a little nervous, like, understandably, but like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I corrected somebody.
Feelings.
It felt very, very selfish. But it's one of those where it's like, hey, like if someone's trying to support and they're like giving you a label that doesn't feel yours, correcting it. I feel like because for so long I was like a yes person. And I also think socially and societally we're encouraged to just be like yes people.
Especially in the South.
Yes, and as women. But yeah, I was correcting someone and it was like received well.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first I could tell they were like, oh,
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure? I'm like, pretty positive.
Yeah. And with that too, so personally, but also therapeutically, if you are with your therapist and they are not getting it, if they're not on the track, let them know.
Yes. And I think like, yes, we also really need to think about what showing up means in therapy. Like you said, like if we need correction, if things need to shift, that's okay. Because again, like showing up in therapy is its own can of worms.
Yes, it is. So honesty, right? Of like, hey, it didn't land. Okay, cool. We're going to be honest that, no, that's not how I'm feeling.
Right. It's like, that's not how I'm feeling.
Or of just like the actual experience of, you should not feel judged.
Yes.
And I want to should you, but I feel like that's a pretty good should. You should not feel judged in therapy, of being able to say like, yeah, I realize that this happened and I am not proud of it. Or this person that I am currently with and deciding to still be with, this is what happened.
Yes.
Of being really authentically vulnerable and honest, even when it's hard, because that's where the growth comes. That's where the healing comes.
Some of the best sessions that I've had with clients start with, I didn't do my therapy homework. Or I didn't want to be here today.
Yeah.
And first of all,
fair.
Thank you for telling me. And also like fair. Again, that is truly showing up, because again, I've had a client say like, I am paying with my time and my energy and my money to be here. Why am I not telling the truth? Yeah. And that's what they even said, like in this space. And I'm like, hey, like, again, people say these things for all sorts of reasons and they're just protective, but like, that's amazing that you're wanting to show up for yourself in therapy when it is so hard to do. It
is hard. It's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. Naming resentment. Yeah. And honestly, just naming feeling. Yeah. Just really like naming, sitting with that wheel, being like, hey, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. This is what I'm feeling. This is what's happening within me. And this is a big one. I think that we kind of naturally lean into is performing.
Performing, being the perfect client.
Yes.
Or even the perfect therapist.
Yes. Yeah. Which I did that in my own therapy. I literally just said it earlier today. Like, I printed out the worksheets and I know how to do I statements. So, like, but not performing that. Of instead letting it be raw and letting it be what it needs to be.
And then even what we talked about in our last episode of like engaging in therapy, not just being there, engaging in it, practicing your skills in between sessions, and like also staying in the emotion, staying in the intervention and therapy when it feels a little bit uncomfortable, and when you know you're growing but it just feels uncomfy. That's a huge way that everybody shows up. I also think therapists though have to also hold themselves accountable to show up in the therapy space.
Yeah. And that looks like regulation. That's before, during, after, in our own life. Of like really getting in tune. Sarah's mentioned before, she washes hands between, just to get a little bit of like the somatic kind of hit of like, hey, we're resetting. I tend to put my glasses on, of just finding that way to be able to get kind of in your body and retransition of, okay, we're moving from one to the other, and then like moving to human moment.
Yes. Well, and even like reminding, and I think again, like this is a hot topic, but like in self-disclosure, I think right now it's being normalized to self-disclose and be dysregulated with clients, almost as like a bonding experience. I would argue that's not professional, or that might not be appropriate in all situations. Right. But it is the idea of like, hey, like you gotta be regulated with clients. Like if you are so dysregulated that like it's interfering with your work, like please take a mental health day. Right. Take a day off, reschedule. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And if you truly don't feel like you can be there, like let them know. Even like I had to like reschedule something this week of like, hey, I have a doctor's appointment. I don't know if it's gonna cut it too close, but either way, like I gotta add 30 minutes in here so that I can be a good therapist for you. Yeah. And it wasn't a problem.
Yeah. Same thing with if things are going on outside in your life and you have to say like, hey, I cannot meet today. This happened.
It's okay.
Like that is okay, because our job is to, one, co-regulate with, you know, the client that's in our space, but to attune. Yes. We're attuning to where they're at. We're picking up on their emotion. We're being present with that emotion with them. And if we've got stuff that's fogging up the brain in the moment for our own world, like 100%, you are good to take it some time.
And for therapists too, like modeling. And like I've actually reached a point where I've been with a few clients for several years now, and I had one say, hey, you never take time off. And like our X amount of years working together, I've never really seen you take much time off, or like you rarely have 6 days or things like that. And it was like at the end of session. She was like, are you good? And that was a big thing of like, I'm not modeling healthy anything. If I'm not able to put a stopping point, not because I need it, but because I want it, like, what am I doing? And I might be dysregulated without realizing it. Right. So I will say, like, when we think about showing up,
mm-hmm.
how can you tell when a client is potentially performing and not engaging?
This is going to sound wild, but I think all of us therapists have experienced this probably. But when there is very fast progress of like one session where here,
it's textbook,
and my hand's very low. And then next session, it's like all the way at the top, like, I think I'm doing great. I'm using all these skills. I'm doing all of this. I'm feeling all of this. It's like, okay, okay. Like, well, then let's write a book on it. Because apparently, whatever I said needs to go in a book. But that's kind of how I know, is if the progress is so quick that it hasn't even had time to grow and to build and really be utilized. If like a week, what if I said something and in a week you are feeling that big of a shift, then wow, pats on the back for us. But for the most part, lasting change takes more than a week.
That it do.
Yeah. So I would say that.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like, I notice how a client responds to challenging. It's a really interesting indicator of if it's performance or not.
Yeah.
Because again, like you get in session and like I've really stopped kind of asking like, how's it going? And sometimes I say like, what has it been like to be in your brain?
Yeah.
And in your body.
Beautiful.
Thank you. It's been a fun shift. It's also like it goes towards like more content and less fluff.
Right.
But I noticed it can make people uncomfortable because they can't just say I'm fine.
Yeah. It's been good.
Yes. Because then like, because there's a lot of my folks who, again, like it's performing and most of the time they don't realize they're performing. It's just, it's normalized.
Right.
And it's like, I'm good. When it's appropriate, I'll kind of ask like, hey, remember at the beginning of the session, you said everything was fine.
Rechecking back in.
Like based on what we just went through. If it still feels fine, I'm really proud of you for finding your window of tolerance and things like that. But next time, or if I were to ask you that question again, and you were to show up for yourself in your response, how would it look different?
Right.
Responding to challenges.
Yeah. Well, and even too, insight without vulnerability of like, I'm saying all the things, but I'm not actually feeling all the things.
Yes.
Of very much like, this, and this.
Right.
It's like, oh.
Or they're like, the voice will go like up an octave and it's like, I think it's going to be okay. It's like, whoa. Like we just had a big fluctuation in our body and our tones.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just sit.
Right. And so repair. This is a hard one for us therapists.
Yeah.
Is like recognizing there's going to be ruptures with clients sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So like what has a recent repair been like for you?
I've actually noticed it in more years of practice. I've had to do more repair with clients, and I don't think it's a bad thing. And it's not like it's often at all. It's few and far between, but it still happens. I noticed that sometimes I use immediacy before a client is ready to receive it. Yeah. And it's especially with like trauma and complex trauma work. There have been, honestly, it's only happened twice in my career.
Right.
And we've got a decade under us. So like we're doing okay.
Yeah.
It's been twice where like we've had a session that I felt was great and productive and processing. But the next session I'll check in and I'll say like, hey, like how are you feeling at the end of session? Yeah. And some of them say like, and it's in these two specific examples, they said, hey, I felt like I felt like you got it too spot on too fast. And I wasn't ready to feel that quite yet. And it felt too exposed. Right. And I totally own that. And I hold myself really accountable for it now of like, even as therapists, if we see connections, if we see these patterns, and if we notice like, ooh, I think I might have an idea of what our like core wounds are. Yeah. It might not be the time to bring that up. But it's honestly, it's worked really well. And like, I'm still seeing both of these clients and it's helped a lot. But in trauma work, being able to like spot things and say it, maybe when someone isn't up for it. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I think a big one is definitely like referring out or termination of, and even this is just like an initial repair, because obviously we're not going to continue working together, but even something like, hey, I feel like you're doing really well.
You do great.
Yeah. And so there was a moment where I was with a client and I was like, hey, I've noticed like you're doing extremely well. I want to check in. Like, is this actually helpful anymore? Is this more just safe?
Yeah,
and like, are we ready
routine
to navigate, you know, into that?
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't know. And, you know, so we scheduled a follow-up, and then they came back and they were like, hey, I kind of felt like you were trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, like it hurts their feelings, like legitimately.
And so I had to repair that of saying
rejected.
like, no, not at all. And I'm so sorry that I caused you to feel rejected. I said, if anything, I more just have noticed that like you don't need me anymore,
like,
and I'm proud of you. Yeah. And so I had to lean into that repair of like, hey, it's not that I don't want to keep meeting with you. It's that I don't feel like you need me anymore.
Right. Absolutely. That's so hard.
Yeah, it is tough. And then of course referring out, because then it's the I'm too much, and it's like no,
right,
I'm just not qualified.
Right, we just can't be a niche in every niche there is.
Right.
It's so tough. But again, like if we really want to wrap things together in like a pretty bow, it's just really thinking about the fact that showing up is great. Showing up for yourself, for others, like it is a wonderful act of love and service for yourself, for those you care about. But it's not about like performing or enduring or like rubbing some dirt in it, overextending or just suppressing. That's not at all what it is.
Right.
But it is being really honest and staying regulated enough to just be present with what's going on. Owning your part, taking accountability, and just really respecting your limits and the limits of others around you.
Yeah. And if you are, quote unquote, showing up and you're feeling exhausted, resentful, burnt out, then we might not be doing it out of authenticity and just wanting to be present, but instead like fear of being judged or fear of upsetting. And if that's the case, let's reflect.
Yeah, like if you notice your stomach hurts every time you're with this person,
tune in.
Yeah,
we're gonna tune in. We're gonna be curious. So maybe asking ourselves, like, where am I performing instead of being present, of just being in the space? Where am I abandoning myself? What doesn't feel authentic? What would showing up look like if it didn't require self-assurance? And then what small shift could I practice this week to impact that? A micro change.
I love that.
Like a micro change.
I love a good micro change.
Yeah.
But as always, like we said, Couch Combos is not a substitute for therapy. Everyone deserves therapy. I think everyone should be in therapy at some point or another in their lives. It's a great tool.
It's a lovely journey.
And if you want to work with us, happy to have you. You can find us at www.soulhavengeorgia.com, at Soulhaven Georgia or Soulhaven Counseling on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Couch Combo is the pod. But again, it is not a substitute for therapy. If you are in crisis or immediate danger, please go to your nearest emergency room, dial 911, call or text 988, and get that immediate help that you so deserve.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Great hanging out, and we'll see you guys next time.